how did you, since there wasn't a lot of information in 2009, how did you find these ingredients and these items that were going to help you sort of make this concoction?
Honestly, I became a mad scientist. I really did, in my own kitchen. I was so desperate for my daughter to live. I know that sounds awful, but that's the honest truth. That I immersed myself. I mean, I already had 4 kids then in high school, and then the younger ones working full time, but I still made time, and just started getting books, and I started reading. Well, what does, what do the mints do? What do the coconut oil? I mean, I've heard of these things, but I'm not sure. So all my journey began researching, and then I found out something quite interesting. One of the things that we did at the bone marrow unit is we would, sometimes have our patients, when their immune system drops, your acid and base. So you've heard of the pH balance, right? Anytime our body is ill, it goes very acidic. And the key was, I want something to counteract that. So what I need to do is research on what is not acidic, but what is alkaline, so I can pull out the sickness. And all of these products that I use, the 7 ingredients that I use here in the toothpaste they're alkaline, and they fight acidity, which is infection. I mean, that's how I was like, this is interesting. I mean, I have my notepads back from 2009 of everything I would write with the date and go, I'm telling you, I was a mad scientist. I remember that people, my family back then would tell me, you're crazy. What are you doing? Because I'm sort of disconnected for a little, just to find the cure of, if I can fix this, my goodness, we can fix many other things, So, and that was my journey.
That's thinking back to 2009, I think to 2014, when I started making my own stuff and I started looking into wait a minute, there's a lot of chemicals here that are not good for our bodies. They're not good for our minds. And I had the hardest time in the world finding information. So 5 years before that, for you to have that rigor to go find that and experiment like that, it's really cool to see, and especially considering the impact that it was able to have on your daughter.
Yeah, you know what, Nick? The way I tell the story, it seems like it happened so quickly. It really didn't. But before I even thought of making the toothpaste for her, I had bought about 100 toothpastes all over the country. And back then you didn't have a lot of organic toothpaste, or much less some that say no fluoride free. So I even bought toothpaste from Canada. I bought toothpaste from the UK. And on one toothpaste tube, I spent, ready, $98 for 16 ounces. And none of it helped. As a matter of fact, it made her thrush worse. So and I get you. You said 2014, and you're trying to buy all these toothpaste that don't have all these chemicals that you can't even pronounce. And there's always a warning sign. I tell people, look what's behind your toothpaste. I have not found one person other than you to tell me, what does your toothpaste say behind it? They're like, oh, I never read it, because we trust what, social media tells us, and we trust. But I tell people, don't just go by my word, research on your own. Become your own advocate for your health, right? And for the ones that you love. So it was quite the journey for me. I was frustrated. I was throwing money away left and right. And sometimes, how can I say, sometimes what you end up inventing or creating doesn't come because you're looking for it. It comes out of a huge necessity. So you're either going to go out and get it or find it because there is a need for it. And it'll happen. I mean, if the passion is there, I always say, in my experience, I call it when heaven meets earth, right? There's a big need here on earth, and there's an open heaven, and bam, all you need is that will, that desire to go look for it. And you might just, get what you're looking for, and find what you're
you had a life at stake. So it was like, no choice. You had to take action. You had to do everything you could and try and help your daughter.
Yes, And I'm a huge advocate about, our doctors or hospitals.
Yeah.
I'm a nurse, right? But there's sometimes where you have to sometimes also go on your own and say, okay, like kind of, you almost feel like you're Dorothy. Like me, I felt like I was Dorothy, and I come to a fork in the road, and there's two yellow brick roads. Well, which one am I going to take? Where am I going to go? They both look good and appealing, and it was really a risk for me to do that. So at this point, my daughter needed to have the surgery at MD Anderson to get that out. And I remember as I was doing this, the toothpaste, and I saw a little bit of healing. Like on the second day, I was like, oh my gosh, I think her thrush is healing. And everyone would tell me, you're just imagining things. This is not. I'm like, no, I see it. I feel it. Because there's always going to be people that doubt, but they do it also because they care about you, because it's never been done before. So there's no way this could happen. You've had diagnosis. It's affirmative. Why are you still trying to look for an answer? Because there are answers out there. We just have to be willing and desperate enough